These are the gender ratios of financial investors across countries. If the market were truly equal, why are there so many fewer female investors than male ones? What drives this imbalance? With these questions, we explored global data on men and women in areas like economy and law, mapping it to lighthouses. In an unequal world, the lighthouse guides the vulnerable. Generally, stronger economies have higher visibility internationally. The beam thickness at the base of each lighthouse represents GDP per capita. Above the economic foundation is the legal net, which safeguards women's rights, such as inheritance and equal pay. When a law is flawed, the corresponding part of the net disappears. The design is inspired by the iconic look of former U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, honoring her lifelong fight for women's rights. The geometric shapes represent data related to employment, finance, and education. The 6 data dimensions are distributed at different heights. We use cubes to represent males and spheres to represent females. The larger the data, the greater the volume of the shapes. This shows the current GDP per capita of 140 countries and regions. Like a night-shrouded sea, the lighthouses of Europe and North America shine brightly, overshadowing dimmer ones in other regions. Overlaying legal data shows that poorer economies offer less legal protection for women. In Africa, countries like Cameroon and Niger enforce only 2 out of 6 laws to protect women's rights, with no guarantee of equal property ownership or asset control during marriage. Even more shocking, 3 African countries still don't allow women to open bank accounts. The law most lacking is equal pay for equal work, with nearly half of countries failing to achieve it, even in developed countries like the US, Singapore, and Japan.
I had more experience than some men that I was working with, but yet they had more valuable roles, got paid more as well, which made me realize that sometimes my experience wasn't valued the way that their experience was valued.
Equal pay for equal work presupposes women can access employment, yet many women struggle to even enter the job market. In all countries with data, women's employment rates are lower than men's, especially in the Middle East and North Africa. In Oman, women are 57 percentage points less likely to find work than men. Over the past decade, women's employment has not improved, and in 40% of countries, the female workforce share is declining, let alone workplace promotions. Among the 94 countries and regions with available data, only 5 have women accounting for more than 50% of mid to senior management positions, representing less than 6%. In Pakistan, fewer than 8 out of 100 mid to senior management personnel are women. However, there is some consolation in the fact that, compared to a decade ago, the proportion of women in mid to senior management roles has increased in most countries. Employment is tough, and savings data is bleak. In most countries, women save less than men. In the past decade, the savings gap for women in lower-income countries has grown, with women, as a vulnerable group, being more impacted than men. In education, the gender gap remains significant, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, where girls' primary school enrollment rates are much lower than boys. Interestingly, as girls grow older, their tertiary education enrollment rates generally surpass those of boys. Compared to 10 years ago, women's higher education enrollment has increased in 84% of countries, with an average rise of 16 percentage points. The inequality women face in basic education is being partially bridged through their own efforts and supportive resources. In the past decade, more women in lower-income countries have been pursuing business, management, and law courses. Today, in 79% of countries with data, women make up over 50% in these fields, showing that women's interest and ability in investment are on par with men's. Virginia Woolf argued that women's liberation begins with financial independence, followed by education to challenge societal constraints, with the ultimate goal of equality with men. While the path may seem daunting, we're still navigating the first 2 steps, beginning to see where the lighthouses are dim and unbalanced. Recognizing inequality is the first step toward overcoming women's struggles.